Hey, it's Margie with the Asking Spot, and this go around I'm asking, can I organize this closet that's not even mine? Actually, I hope to be finding out if I can hang wallpaper. It's peel and stick wallpaper. I've never done it before. Gonna give it a shot. And here's the thing, I hope to have this all done before my kid comes home from their summer college program, which is in 1 week.
A lot can happen in a week.
Step 1, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step 2, get some good, some food in you. Step 3, think real hard about what you wanna be. Step 4, everybody just do your thing.
Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up, today's gonna be a good day.
Clear. All quite clear, no problems.
I'm pretty sure nobody's ever seen these shelves and went, ooh, yay. Yeah, it just doesn't happen. However, I don't want to contribute to the landfill and I am on a budget. So my goal is to camouflage them or create a diversion so you don't notice them. And that's why wallpaper is coming to the rescue. I hope.
Wait, something is missing.
I'm gonna start painting the side 2 walls where I will not be putting any wallpaper, and the wall that I will be putting wallpaper on. Now, if I wanted to paint it, that would be fine, but it would have to dry. As in like at least 72 hours, should be as much as a week. And well, my kid's coming home soon, so I don't have time for that. So all I'm gonna do for this is to clean it off, this wall that I'm applying the wallpaper to, with just a clean, dry cloth. It has to be dry because the adhesive, if you've got moisture in there of any kind, it'll be like, thanks, see ya. It just won't work. So clean, dry cloth for the wall that's gonna get the wallpaper. I'm gonna get to town on painting the sides though first. To figure out how much wallpaper you need for a space. Now, if you wanna just know about pricing and what is gonna fit in your budget, they often do it by square foot, and of course that's height times width, and this is an 8x8, so 64 square feet is what I have to deal with. But that doesn't really help me with exactly how many rolls of this I need, so that just kind of helps with what the price might be. Let's get that out of the way. Rolls wise, because you want to get something that's got to have the length that you need, and they start out like the advertised one is like, ooh, that's not a bad price. Well, that's because it's also a roll that's only about 5 feet long. So this is 8x8, and it's inches wise from top to bottom. It's 8 times 12, so we have got 96 inches. 5 feet is not going to cut it. So I needed the longer one, which I think is around, I can't remember exactly, maybe 111 inches.
10-second memory.
I'll do one of these to fill it in correctly. And that's going to be enough length because you do want excess top and bottom. Now, when it comes to the width going the other way, that depends on how wide the roll is. This one happens to be 17.7 inches long. They vary though. I mean, I've seen some that were 24 inches long, some that were slightly smaller. Usually though, this is kind of average. Doing that math, well, I would technically need, if this was a wall that was out for the public to see, I would need 6 rolls of this because you always need extra to make sure you cut those corners. And if you're figuring in a room, in a wall that say had a window or a door, don't worry about those. You want more, not less, because mistakes happen. So just go ahead and act like those windows or doors aren't there and do your measurements from that. Now, because I'm cheap, I mean
Frugal.
because I'm
Shrewd.
well, yeah, that too. Because I am in a closet though, and I know that the ends are never really going to be seen, I'm okay if this doesn't get all the way to the ends. I've got it measured almost exactly correct. But because there's a little bit of an overlap when you're hanging wallpaper, it's going to have at least a gap on either side. Hopefully, if I do it right on both sides, it might just be one side. So I'm not too worried about it because, like I said, it's a closet. You can't really see the ends of this. So we should be fine. To get an idea where exactly the rolls would land, I went ahead and placed them on the floor so I could see where their seams would be. Is this an exact measurement? Heck no, but it gave me a rough idea of what I'm dealing with. But it's just a goof around. So you might want to try it so you have an idea where your seams are. My goal was to try to center it so that when the part of the door, you know how the kids just kind of always leave it ajar? My goal is to have it so nice wallpaper is showing in the middle of that. Don't know if it'll work. Before you start hanging up your wallpaper, just going, oh, match it up with the ceiling and go straight down from there, you got to reconsider that one because they're never completely even. It's worse the older the house is, but like I'm thinking about my house right now, it's not the most fancy made house. And on top of it, if the builders had the same attitude I have, where it's a closet, it's probably pretty uneven in here. So what I'm going to use is this lovely little level. I'm going to make a straight line down the length of the wall, and then I'm going to try and make sure that my wallpaper matches and lines up with that. Once you have that first piece in correctly, all the other pieces should be able to line up next to it. A little extra headache I have is the shelves were being held into the wall and they had to use sinkers in most spots. Now granted, most of these little sinkers stick out just enough that I could feel them and still wallpaper over them and they should be fine. But they found a stud on a couple of them, and as studs in my home are kind of few and far between,
Your husband?
this is something that I want to keep there and not mess with it. The items you're going to need besides the obvious wallpaper, you are going to need a very sharp cutting knife, X-Acto knife, box cutter, just as long as the blade's really sharp. Then you're going to need something to sort of softly squeegee out the wrinkles. If you watched my window video, do one of these, and I'll have a link in the description below. You'll see where this came from. It's finally getting useful. And then I also picked up a squeegee, again, because I learned my lesson from those videos. So this should help me sort of smooth out the wallpaper as I go. Now, the start of this is the biggest problem with peel and stick is, yes, it's great for apartment life. You can put it on and then peel it off. The problem is it will stick to itself and then you're in for a nightmare. Now I've seen where supposedly you can use a hair dryer to warm it up a little bit and that'll give it some elasticity and help get out the wrinkles. But the biggest warning I've seen is if it sticks to itself, you're in trouble. I use this same technique found in the window film where you put a piece of tape one way and another piece of tape on the other way, and then you try to pull them apart. I'm hoping that'll separate these two. I think I should have done a line at the top that was level so I'd have the wallpaper certainly level, because once you start going down, you can't really move it all that much. Now there was a wrinkle at the very top, a factory wrinkle that I couldn't get out, and I didn't try the hairdryer thing. I was like, oh, I'll be fine. But I think that little wrinkle is what kind of gave me a little bit of a crooked line. But the other challenge is now lining up patterns. They usually go about the width that they are. That'll also how long they repeat. So if it's 17 and then 0.7 inches, which mine is, it repeats every 17.7 inches, supposedly. I don't know if this is how you're supposed to do it. Actually, I'm pretty sure this might not be. But to match it up, before I start peeling it off, I went ahead and used painter's tape so I could get the pattern exactly lined up. I'm hoping that'll be helpful. Wow, hope is the word of the day. So yeah, I need to line these up just perfectly, and I'm going to take the painter's tape off and try to unroll the wallpaper peel and stick as I go. Woohoo! Last roll to put up, and either I'm getting really pretty good at this and it's easier than I thought to do, or as I get sweaty and hot, I care less about how it appears. We'll see when it's all said and done. Now I'm getting ready to start rehanging the shelves. I needed to get some new drywall sinkers to put into the wall. Ideally, I would look for studs to hang the shelves, but studs are kind of hard to find.
Nope.
No, the truth is that with my house being only 8 feet tall, generally speaking, if you're under 10 feet tall, you could have studs that are actually 22 or 24 inches. I'll do one of these apart. Whereas if they're taller than 10 feet, then they're 16 inches apart. And that's a lot easier to find placement for something to anchor your shelves in. Obviously, going through the studs would be the best way to go. But since I can't, I went ahead and got drywall sinkers. These, they come with their own screws. Something to look for when you're doing these. Now, mine, I went with a weight that was nice and high, even though nothing I pulled out of there was that weight. But I also looked for ones that are self-driving. I didn't need to pre-drill a hole for it, so just a heads up there. Whew, more than a little tired, but kind of happy with the results. Before we look at those results, let's take a look at where we started. And if you could, please consider subscribing, give a little thumbs up. It helps out the channel a lot. And thank you. And now to see the final results. This is actually holding pretty much more than it was before. It's just now it's more organized. I moved the middle shelf. Instead of 3 in a row, I moved it over here so we could have some more hang room and space. I also, now this is my temporary camouflage. I used some poster board here and it's in black. I wish they had it in white, but I think, you know, it's getting ready for back to school time, so the wonderful teachers are using the poster board. More power to you. So I got the black just to show that it is kind of easy to put in there, and it covers up those little slats, and then you just fold it over on the sides and it covers up the edge of the shelf. If this were white, I think it would look outstanding. The black though, I went ahead just so I show you, and then also because, you know, my closet's done in all sorts of dark colors. It'll work in my closet when the white poster board comes back in. You can check out the card there, or look in the description. I'll have a link to when I did that closet and that makeover. But what really matters is the wallpaper, the peel and stick wallpaper. Gotta say, final results on this one is, yeah, I loved it. I'm super glad I did it in a closet first because there are mistakes in here. You know, I did the line that was like this. I should have also done a line that I knew that was measured out and even on the top, and then brought the wallpaper, kind of making sure I had it there. Something just because that first one did end up going slightly askew, and that caused, rather than causing them all to go askew, I went ahead and let it be gapped at the bottom. And this is an easy to use wallpaper because with the scraps that I had at the top, I went ahead and cut off pieces that just fit the little gap at the bottom there, and it looks great, and it's all fine. Super easy to work with. It does take some getting to know it. As far as price wise, now I went out and looked for, like, I went to Amazon, put wallpaper, prints, and peel stick, and I looked for like pretty much the cheapest thing that I still thought was attractive. I wonder though, if I'd gotten a more expensive one, would it have lined up better? Because, you know, you're supposed to do like a 1/4 inch overlap so that you won't have that gap that I talked about. And this was just a little, it was very unforgiving with that. It could also be just the pattern I picked.
It's probably you.
So, you know, there's that to think about. But overall, it went super well. And yeah, I would definitely do a wall that gets more visibility than inside a closet, totally. But like I said, I'm glad I practiced on this first, because there is definitely a learning curve when hanging wallpaper, peel or stick or otherwise. Thanks so much for watching the Asking Spot. Bloopers next, I think. Oh, and a tip too. Hey, just thinking about the panel that after you put it up, the paper that's remaining, this roll, save it. It can be used for photo transfer. Yeah, you can print with on the shiny side, not the flat side. Let it sit for like 30 seconds, and then you put it on to whatever you're going to put it on, and then varnish it on, and it should work beautifully. Haven't tried it yet, but I plan to. Also, if that's not your thing, you can always just use it as something that protects your table when you're doing some sort of craft. So hang on to this stuff. Don't toss it in the landfill just yet. That's why I'm going to try wallpapering the back of this closet. You heard that when I tapped it. Sorry. Blooper, blooper, blooper. I don't know why. That just felt like the right thing to do. Hey, it's Margie with the Asking Spot. I don't have a microphone. I don't know how Tom Cruise does it.